Sound, baby. All right, we are live. Let's see. Damn, it's been a while. Boom. There we go. Share. Share the stream. All right. One sec, guys. Okay. First things first. Can you guys hear me loud and clear? And if so, then we should be good here. Live chat. All right. All right, awesome. Thank you guys. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate that. Hello, everyone. Welcome Friday. Happy Friday for those of you that are just finishing up work and everything. Long weekend coming up, fun times. Market, not so fun, right? So I wasn't really expecting a drop in terms of a break structure necessarily. I would mention that this level right here around the 104.5 is going to be a crucial support. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just quickly draw a horizontal ray right around this level like that. Just give or take to give us a perspective on the current support. So you can see that once we ended up losing that support level, that's why we saw this candlestick going around to 103.7. We are now trading into weekend volume, of course. With the chop situation, we want to be very, very careful. We don't necessarily want to jump too fast, in terms of a bearish move set. But yes, as of right now, without volume, like let's say, for example, we, Monday morning, we're still ranging in between here, then I'm expecting a 102 drop. The problem is, though, the fact that the 102 region, you can see, has already been tested 3 times. And this is where the dangerous part comes from, right? It's when you have a current structure being retested multiple times over and over. I've talked about this many, many times before as well. And I'll give you an example on Ethereum again, but this is pretty much how you can kind of expect that momentum. When I talk about momentum, this is what momentum looks like. If I was looking for a short position, and again, I'm not right now, but I'm just saying from a perspective, if we were looking from a shorting perspective and we saw a break structure to 102, well, would I close my short necessarily exactly at 102? No, right? Because I know that, hey, if 102 happened, we've already tested that level so many times. More likely than not, we will end up breaking 102, right? That's pretty much how I would see it if I'm trading. The same thing we saw on Ethereum. On Ethereum, for our long perspective, we were pretty much looking at it from this third test breakout. And I'll give you guys a perfect example, right? So we had the first test in the range, and I said, look, we don't know where Ethereum's going to stop, but we know the fact that this is a crucial resistance. First test happened. Now the second test, this of course was the double top area. We didn't end up seeing wick break. Do you guys remember? 38 was wick break. This was 34 or 33 rather. So not to that level we wanted to. We didn't end up taking the trade. What happened next? The third test, now we're at that momentum stage where you have the fact that we've already tested this level twice. More than likely than not, we will end up seeing that break. And that's exactly what happened on Ethereum, the third test break. And that's exactly why we trade 4-hour intervals, right? A lot of folks are saying, well, why don't we trade the 1 hour? Why don't we trade the 15-minute? It's because of the fact that we want the 4-hour time frame, because if a move set were to happen in terms of a breakout, it tends to be a lot larger compared to a 1 hour or 15-minute interval. And right now on Bitcoin, this is the dangerous part. Bitcoin is in a very dangerous zone right now, right? We are seeing the 104.7, which ideally was a major resistance. And again, how do we know in confirmation levels? We saw the break retest as support, so we know 104.7 was a major zone. But then on the way towards the downside, you can see we didn't even hold that level as support. We ended up breaking it, and now we're closing below it, and now we're seeing that volatility as well. Now, of course, given the fact that it's the weekend, I'm not going to say, okay, yes, this is a confirmation for a bearish structure setup, but we have to be very careful here, right? What we're seeing right now is ideally we want the bulls to end up holding the zone, because if, of course, Bitcoin loses the range of 102, then the 100 region is most likely to play out. And you can see from previous price analysis just how many wicks were there. Now, I want to quickly talk about something that, I've been noticing, and it's like a worst case scenario standpoint. I talked about this a long time ago. For those of you that remember back when, we were talking about Bitcoin all-time high, and I quickly want to touch base on this. This is, it's there, right? So it's something that I've thought about. I'm not going to say it's confirmed just yet, right? But what we can see is this could be the 112 could have been the top, right? And the reason why I'm saying it is because of the fact that, you know, I'm not saying confirmed, but I'm saying that it gives a perspective, trading's perspective, right? And this is a new perspective for some of you. If I were to go on the daily time frame for Bitcoin, this will give you guys a better understanding, and I've talked about this before. Look at Bitcoin right now, right? So look at Bitcoin on the daily time frame. I know it's a little bit, you know, lines here. So maybe what I'll do here is, one second, guys. Let me just, there we go. That's better. So look at Bitcoin from this perspective. We had the first top, right? Breakdown, second leg opportunity. And now the previous high, I don't want to draw the line because all the charts will come back. But look, the previous high was 109. The new high was 112, give or take. Now, if we zoom out and go to the previous bull run, what do we see here? This is the scary part, right? I didn't post this in Telegram because I don't want to deal with all the freaking out and questions and stuff that's going to come from it. But it's something in my thought process here that, you know, makes me worry just a little bit. If we look at Bitcoin from the previous run, look what happened here. Bitcoin hit 64, went down. Second leg, we hit 69, and that was the end of the bull market. Look at, like, it's weird, right? Because look, if you look at, this sucks, hold on. If you look at it from this perspective, you have the first wick, second, third, and then the drop. And right now, if I were to go here, it looks identical. Like here, this might be better for you. Look, that's scary, right? That's pretty scary to look at. First top, right? Or if you want to just do like this point, look. First wick, second wick, nuke. First wick, second wick, nuke. Right? The consolidation, the next leg, and now 112 was peak, over here 69 was peak, and then the bear market. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, yeah, Bitcoin top, this is confirmation, this is what I'm going based off of, but all I'm saying is, if we end up losing major levels, then yes, Bitcoin is going to end up seeing a possibly top here, because of the fact that, look, this whole run up we've had on the second leg, we have never broken below the exponential moving average, right? Look at the yellow and the white line on the 9 and the 20. This whole run up, this whole beautiful run up, we didn't break below that level, but now we've broken below. This is the first time after 76 or 79K we broke below that level. This to me is a worrisome point for Bitcoin, right? And again, altcoin season, whatever, we can talk about that later, but right now I'm just specifically focusing on Bitcoin here, and this is what worries me. We have the first drop and now the second leg, and if we compare it to the original one, it's very similar. You see what I'm saying? Yes, of course I can explain. So here, that's a great point. So here, this is why I'm scared, right? Look, again, second leg, you see this? Second leg, and look, what happened once we broke the EMAs on the daily, right here. This was second leg. Think of it like this, guys. This was 112K. So this was 112 right here at 69. Now consider it 112. And now this is the EMA break, and look what happened. It was the start of the bear market, right? It was the start. It never broke back above to that let's just assume 69K region. We had pullbacks, but this was the start of the bear market. Now, I think it's a little too early to assume the fact that, you know, we've topped out and we're going to see a bear market, heavy bear market, but it's a time for you guys to, you know, kind of have a perspective on things. Like, this could be a worst case scenario, because if we end up closing below the EMAs and now the EMA switch to resistance, then yeah, this very much was the top. And now the problem is altcoins, right? Everyone's waiting for altcoin season. Everyone's waiting for this. That's why a part of me, I don't think it's necessarily the top just yet, but it is something to consider, right? We still have trading's perspective. And that's a perspective I want to give you guys today, is just have that in your head. That's why when I say take your profits, you know, don't marry your bags and stuff. That's what I mean, because nobody knows exactly where Bitcoin's top is going to be. We can base it off previous price analysis, but again, right, what we could see is just a fake out and then a new leg opportunity to 118, 120, but I'm just giving you guys a perspective here. But for me, the only worrisome point right now is, of course, the fact that we've lost the 20 exponential moving average, something we haven't lost in a very long time since this run up. We use that level as support. We had the breakout, you used it as support, breakout, used it as support, breakout, but now we're actually using it as resistance. So that's the only worrisome part for me, and I'll go ahead and make a video on this in Telegram as well, just so everyone is on the same page, probably around Sunday, because I need to see, you know, more candle closes. I need to have more confirmations here before I start giving that perspective on things. But right now, what we need to be careful of is, of course, to see how the 104.7 level plays out. If the bulls can somehow manage to use this level as support, so again, previous resistance turns into new support. If we can somehow use this level as support, and now we're retesting as the EMAs as support as well on the way towards the upside, we have a chance. We have a chance for a new like opportunity. Now, the worst case scenario, of course, is if we break this level of support, break the 102, break the 100, and then go all the way down to around 98, then retest this level at 102 as resistance. And yes, that would be considered 112 was the top for Bitcoin, and that to me would be considered the new bear market start. And pretty much I would assume the fact that we might see an altcoin season somewhere down here, if of course we're following the trend from previous bull run and what happened on the second leg opportunity. But I don't think that we've seen the explosive run in terms of altcoins, right? And now that brings me to my next point, is Ethereum. Ethereum right now is still in the range. And what I mean by that is if you look at this 4-hour time frame, Ethereum, of course, is going to be the first step for your altcoin run. And you can see that we are still in range after a massive breakout. If we look here on the daily time frame, we are still using the EMAs as support. There is good news. This region right now that Ethereum is rejecting off of was the same level that we used as resistance on the way towards the downside, right? So we had the original drop, the massive capitulation, came up, bulls used that level, tried to break out, failed, and we saw the continuation. Now we're using that same level as resistance, trying to break out. But guess what? If Ethereum ends up breaking above this region, the next level is going to be around the $3,300 Ethereum. And in my opinion, my humble opinion, this is where things get very interesting, because look, the previous bull run, the top of Ethereum was at 4,800. Right now on Ethereum, we've seen a triple top, right? So we've seen 40.50, let's just say 40.50 for education. 40.50 has been a major resistance, but if we can use momentum here with the daily resistance breaking and we get that squeeze, I think that this is going to be a massive short squeeze for Ethereum, and we may as well get into the 55 to 6K region just based on the daily time frame in terms of where Bitcoin is standing. Again, I'm talking in terms of where Bitcoin currently is. Everyone knows that Ethereum, of course, is undervalued, but what we need to see is, of course, this breakout structure. We need to see this bullish momentum, and we've seen it time after time after time, where Ethereum broke out from 2,800, saw the squeeze to 4, broke again, right here again. Look what the level it broke again at 2,800, saw the squeeze back to 4. 2,800 remains to be the main point of resistance for Ethereum, and then, of course, altcoins to go parabolic. I'm not going to sit here and say, okay, guys, XRP $5, Ethereum $10,000, Doge $5. I'm not that guy, right? I'm sure you can find other YouTubers that are like that. Me personally, though, I'm just looking for the breakout structure. Nobody knows exactly when the drop is going to happen, but a good idea or good way to make the most out of the bull market is, of course, is to sell your spot position slowly. And what do I mean by that? I'll give you guys an example, right? So look at Doge. Doge had its massive run up, and I'm going to keep the charts clean. I'm not going to bring in all my indicators here, but Doge had a massive run up from around, if we look at the previous bull run, so back in 2021, we can see that Doge had the same run up from around here at 5 cents to the peak of 75 cents, right? And again, this from personal example for me too. I had friends that were invested in Doge, and they were asking me, when should I sell? When should I take profit? And nobody knew exactly when the top was going to happen, right? The same folks that sold at 43, it dropped to 15. They said I sold the top, then it ran to 75. A good way for you guys in terms of a bull market to make the most amount of money is to just pretty much sell, not all, but around 10 to 15% every run. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're in your head, you want, Doge sitting at $1. That's your goal. $1 and I sell everything. It's a really negative goal to have. And the reason for that is it causes a lot of emotions and a lot of mistakes. If Doge, let's say, reaches 87 cents to cycle and never hits your $1 mark, are you just going to hold the bag all the way down for another 4 years? You say no, right? But there are people that have, and that's the issue. My opinion, I would sell on every 10-cent interval. So if Doge hit 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, I would just sell 5 to 10% on every single take profit zone. Because then, worst case scenario, by the time we get to $1, you're not too worried about, oh my God, I didn't take any profits. And I feel the most times people are scared in terms of the altcoins in general, or even Bitcoin, is the ones that have never taken profit. Do you guys remember that long essay I wrote at 108K when I said, guys, I think Bitcoin's done in terms of this leg opportunity? I think we're going to collapse. This was during the Trump meme coin mania and everything, and we did collapse from there. Then at 76, I said this is probably a decent area. We don't know if it's the bottom. People were calling for 30K. But you can see then the next leg towards the upside, right? And now at 112, I'm giving you that same perspective. Like, look, we don't know if this is the top, but this is very identical to the previous run as well, where Bitcoin created the same leg opportunity. Again, for those of you that are just joining in, this was Bitcoin's run in 2021, first peak, second, third, and nuke. And now we're here, first, second, and third. And then, of course, if we see a nuke, it's going to be pretty bad. I'll make a more detailed video on this in Telegram for you guys later today. But yeah, just again, perspective and a more educational standpoint is we haven't seen an altcoin just yet. That's why I'm a little hesitant to call this the top. But if Ethereum does end up seeing that squeeze, guys, then most likely, more than likely, I think there's going to be another NFT run as well for the last hoorah of the bull run. You want to pay attention to NFTs at that front. And I think meme coins, to me personally, meme coins, I think are getting to the point where it's exhaustion, right? A lot of these coins are coming and extracting. There's not much left in terms of the meme coin aspect, like, like Peanut, Moodang, like the meme coin itself, like, wow, I love this meme coin, Pepe, Popcat, stuff like that. Now we're just seeing like, derivatives of derivatives. And I think that's what happened, of course, during the 2021 NFT run as well, was because during the BNB time and PancakeSwap and all that, there were so many coins coming out. It was hard to keep up. People got exhausted. NFTs started to run, and that's what caused the NFT bull run. Most of the money moved there. And I think what we're going to see is the same sort of situation once again. Is I think NFTs will have their time, but right now, in terms of altcoins, the way I see it is I would hope that Bitcoin can at least stabilize somewhere around the 105, 106 range. And that, of course, would be a bullish momentum. Dominance ends up dropping. We start seeing Ethereum push past 2,800. Ethereum runs, altcoin runs, and then, of course, NFT bull run. And I think that's the end of the bull run around. I want, personally, just based off cycles, usually August, September, I'm out completely, like 100% sold, right? That's pretty much my idea. We're in June now. And things happen quick, right? Things happen quick. Things can happen within a few days for these altcoins. So don't give up hope if you're still holding on to your Ethereum. I know Ethereum has been one thing that's been really frustrating for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, guys, Ethereum is still ranging. It's ranging extremely tight right now. And I talked about this when I was in Dubai, remember? And I said, like, yo, look, Ethereum's boring. Ethereum's boring right now, 1,800. And I said, when Ethereum squeezes, we tend to see a large squeeze. And within the next 2 days, we saw Ethereum run from 1,800 all the way up to 2,700. So I'm saying it once more, is just level you have to pay attention to is 2,800. 2,800 breaks, Ethereum ends up seeing a larger squeeze, and we run into the 3,500. I think there's going to be enough momentum there for Ethereum to actually break all-time high, and that's where we really start seeing coins go off. But until then, it's just going to be a sideways chop opportunity. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? A lot of folks right now are calling Bitcoin, bear market. They're like, okay, Bitcoin's going to 50K in the next few weeks. Like, I've seen some crazy stuff on YouTube where people are calling, for 90K, 70K again. And like, that's the thing. It's like, we're still in range. The problem is, as long as the range plays, there's really no reason to panic. We're in range. This is range, right? 104 resistance, 104 support. We have to be careful. We have to be careful here. That's all we really need to do is watch the range. It doesn't mean start making massive decisions based on the fact that, oh my God, we closed one candle below. And that's what I'm saying, is there's no reason to panic. Guys, at the end of the day, I am here, right? I've been here for 2 years now, every single day, giving you guys chart updates every single day I've been here. In the bear market I was here, in the bull market I was here, and I'm gonna be there in all bear market and bull markets again. I will tell you personally, hey guys, I think this is a good time to sell. Again, if you remember the first time I said I sold all my spot positions, it was right around, I want to say, during the first leg opportunity, right around here at 106. I wasn't perfect on 109, I was 106, but hey, it was a good top to sell at. And I'll tell you guys, if once I feel comfortable where I'm like, okay, I think personally this is it, then I'll let you guys know. Until then, let me worry about the charts. Okay, a lot of you guys panic too much. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. Should I enter this? Should I enter that? Should I close this? Should I close that? At the end of the day, I will tell you if there is a trade. And right now with Bitcoin and what the current range is, there really isn't much. Even with Ethereum, we played the range perfectly. It was a brutal 5 days of chop sideways. When we entered the break, a lot of you guys made money, and that's it. That's how we trade. We closed the trade, and now we haven't traded since. Could I have shorted? Yes, but guess what? It's overtrading to me. I don't like overtrading. I don't want to lead you guys into overtrading as well. And that's why I haven't called for shorts just yet. There will be a time when we short, and you guys know I am a much better profitable trader in terms of shorts than I am in longs, and letting you guys know when to TP, when and stuff like that. But there will be a time for that. Right now, there's not the time for that, right? Right now is a time to just be watching and be careful and see how this range plays out. I've given you guys a perspective of the possible top. Again, the possible top, but it all depends on the next, I'd say the next 5 days we'll have our confirmation. If Bitcoin drops below 100, we know then that's, yeah, technically 112 was it. But if we end up ranging and somehow break back above the EMAs this weekend and use that support, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a fake out, and then we are expecting a 118, 120 range. So it's quite interesting, and that's why me personally, I'm not taking any trades right now. I would rather have more confidence and at least lead you guys into the right direction versus me just saying, okay guys, time to short, and then we get chopped and then liquidated like Mr. Win, who lost $100 million just trading the same exact range. Literally the same exact range. That dude, for those of you that don't know, is just a hyper liquid whale who has been trading nonstop for like the week, and it's the same range that we've been in for the past week, and he's lost $100 million trying to trade this. That's why me personally, I haven't been sending anything, and I know it's boring and it sucks, but it's better than you guys losing money. So that's pretty much how I trade. Until I have something more concrete, I'll send it. Otherwise, it ain't happening. But yeah. Any questions? There's 22 minutes of me talking straight. I appreciate you guys coming on such short notice. I apologize. Like I said, on these live streams, I'm still doing them once a week, or trying to do them once a week. I will upload Doge tonight for you guys, because I know Doge needs an update now. It was just chopping before. There was nothing to really update. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, yeah, that's pretty much it. And thanks for coming, I guess. I'll see you guys Monday, most likely, because we'll have our confirmation. And what I'll do is tonight for Telegram, I will send a Telegram message, and I'll give it updated in terms of the possible top, just so it's more details, everyone can see it a little bit more clear, and then we can kind of go from there. But yeah, until then, we're just chilling. Cool. Well, the time comes, Gojira, I'll let you know. How about that? I don't want to say, okay, guys, short at 100, and then, 100 happens immediately, and then you guys end up being bottom shorts. That's the reason why I don't answer questions like that. It's because, again, if there's a trade, you will be the first one to know. I promise you. I am staring at the charts all day, every day. There's not a single time where I miss something in terms of chart updates. And even if I do, I'll let you guys know 3 hours before, hey, I'm going out for a walk, or I'm going out to do this. Just keep an eye on this, keep an eye on that. This way, if it happens, you guys are profiting, and that's my end goal, right? So there's nothing really else, to worry about. I'm there, trust me, I am watching. If there's a short, you will be the first one to know. If there's a breakout, you'll be the first one to know. And if I don't post, just go chill with your family and friends. Just go do whatever, doesn't matter. All right. Thanks, guys, for coming. I appreciate it. This session was recorded, so if you do want to go back for educational purposes, feel free to watch it. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Thanks again. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week, and then we'll kind of go from there. All right? Peace out, guys.